Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my top 10 most surprising movies of 2019. This list is going to be just movies that really impressed me, or that I liked a lot more than I expected I was going to. Some of them might make it to my best of 2019 list whenever I do that, but these are just ones that I really liked quite a bit and everything, so I'll go ahead and get started. Number 10 is Child's Play 2019. This movie really surprised me and everything. I went in here really skeptical about it because I absolutely love the original Child's Play movie and the other movies in the franchise, so I kind of was afraid that this movie was going to really disappoint me and everything. But Mark Hamill was announced to do the voice of Chucky, and that right there automatically made me want to see the movie and everything, and I ended up really liking it. I love the way they did Chucky. Like, his personality is completely different than the original. And the entire movie is really different from the original, with very few little callbacks or homages to the original, like just little things, and some of the characters having some of the same names. That's really about the only thing that this movie and the original one have in common. But I thought this was a really good horror movie. It had some pretty good kills, and Mark Hamill was great as Chucky. I like how he brought this like innocence and likability to the character that actually kind of makes you feel bad for him and everything, because he doesn't fully understand everything that's going on. I really love that about the character and everything, and I also like that when he does finally go all bad, he is pretty creepy and stuff. So Child's Play is number 10, and number 9 is Frozen 2. This movie I was not really excited for. I love the first Frozen a lot and everything, and I know how Disney is with their sequels, especially Disney Animation Studios. Most of the movies that they did sequels to were done by a different part of the Disney Studios and were direct-to-video movies, and they weren't very good and everything. And Ralph Breaks the Internet really disappointed me bad and everything, so my expectations for Frozen 2 were very low. But then when I went to see it, it totally surprised me. I absolutely loved it. I liked the new songs and everything. I didn't really care for a lot of the new characters because they didn't really have a lot of screen time or anything like that. But besides that, I really enjoyed Frozen 2. The animation was great. Each of the main characters from the first movie got their moments to shine and everything. One of my favorite parts is this weird song that Kristoff does called Lost in the Woods. It feels like an 80s ballad song. It's pretty good. And I love, like, Into the Unknown, and some of the other songs in this movie are really good. And the animation is just absolutely stunning, and I just absolutely loved Frozen 2. I never expected it would be a movie that I loved as much as I did. Because I liked it just as much as the first, maybe even more. I'm not going to be able to say if I liked it more or not until after I rewatch it, but I know I at least liked it almost as much as the first. So Frozen 2 is number 9, and number 8 is It Chapter 2. I absolutely loved the first It movie. I've loved the book, and I like the miniseries, but anybody who's read the book and seen the miniseries and stuff know that the second half with the adults and stuff is like the weakest part of the story and everything. I was really worried that this movie was going to be disappointing and everything, and prior to seeing it, I had heard some people say that it was not a very good movie, and a lot of people were disappointed with it and everything. But I went in and I saw it, and I liked it just as much as It Chapter 1 from 2017. I thought that I think both of those movies go together perfectly and everything. I was just really impressed with it. I was never bored at all throughout the entire movie. Bill Hader gave an amazing performance as Richie. All of the rest of the cast were really great in here too. James McAvoy as Bill, he was really, really good, and Jessica Chastain as Beverly was really good too. But I really think that Bill Hader is the one that really stood out the most. And everything. It did have some pretty bad CGI, but besides that, I really enjoyed it. Chapter 2, I thought it was a really good movie, and it really surprised me at how good it was, because I was really, really thinking that this one wasn't going to be as good because of knowing stuff about it, but they did it really good and everything. So chapter 2 is number 8, and number 7 is ScoobyDoo Return to Zombie Island. This one was another one that I was really kind of skeptical about and everything. I grew up with Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. It was one of my favorite Scooby-Doo movies as a kid, and it's still one of my favorites. I don't know that I'd say it's my favorite anymore, because I really do like Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost a lot. But Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island was very, very good. It really surprised me. Was it as good as the original? No. But going in not expecting it to be and everything, and actually expecting it to be a lot worse than the original, because it's been so long since the first one, and didn't really know how they were going to do the continuity and stuff like that. I didn't really know what to think of it, but I actually really loved it. Had a lot of good humor. There were a lot of homages paid to the original movie and everything. The continuity was still done very good, and I really liked it. I don't know that I'd say that it's the best Scooby-Doo movie or anything like that. I wouldn't say it's that good, but it was still a really surprising movie. And like I said, this one probably is not one that would make my best of the year list or anything, but it just really was a good, surprising movie, and I really enjoyed it. So, Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island is number 7, and number 6 is Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I went into this movie, once again, not really knowing what to expect. I liked Ninja Turtles as a kid and everything, but as an adult, I haven't really watched a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff since then. I watched like the first live-action movie from the 90s a long time ago, and I've seen part of the new one, but I haven't really watched a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff since I was a kid and everything. But when I watched this movie and seeing Batman and the Ninja Turtles teaming up and stuff, it was just really, really awesome, and everything. It made me feel really nostalgic and stuff, because I used to love watching this Ninja Turtles animated show as a kid, and I loved watching the Batman the animated series, so watching this movie kind of made me think of both of them, and I thought it was a really fun movie, though, and I thought the Turtles and Batman actually really worked good together and everything. I'd love to see them do another one. I don't know if they ever will, but it was really fun getting to see them team up and everything, and the voice cast in here was all really good, and the animation was great. So Batman vs. Ninja Turtles is number 6, and number 5 is Zombieland Double Tap. Once again, this is a sequel to one of my favorite movies of the last decade, Zombieland. I absolutely loved the first movie and everything, and I rewatched it right before I went to see this one, and I was thinking, man, this movie has a lot to live up to. And kind of like I did with Scooby-Doo on the Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, I went into this movie with lower expectations. I kept myself from getting too hyped for it. I didn't watch any trailers at all for it, so I went in completely blind, not really knowing anything about it. The only thing that I had seen as far as the promoting went, besides the poster, was there one little TV spot when I was watching a show and everything, and the only thing that I really knew was that Luke Wilson was going to be added to the cast, and I didn't know what to expect on Zombieland Double Tap, but I ended up really, really liking it. It was almost on the same level as the first movie to me. Maybe not quite as good, but it was at least good enough. It was a really good sequel, and it was a lot better than than it could have been. There are a lot of movies sequels that take a long time. Like for instance, Anchorman 2. That movie took almost the same amount of time to get released. It was only like 9 years instead of 10. But that movie was very, very disappointing to me. I really was disappointed with Anchorman 2, but Zombieland Double Tap really surprised me and everything. And I think it's because the cast and the directors and everybody who came back for it were still really on board. You could tell they were excited to be in this movie, and you could tell they were enjoying playing these characters again, and the writers and stuff were happy working together, and everything came together perfectly and everything. So Zombieland 2 Double Tap is number 5, and number 4 is Booksmart. This one's another one that I went in blind on, except for knowing just a tiny bit about it. I'd heard a couple of people say that it was pretty much like Superbad with females and everything, and I was kind of worried about that, because sometimes when they do movies like that, some of the jokes and stuff just don't land to me and everything, and they push push stuff in the movies that I don't really like that they do sometimes. But this movie was very, very well written. It was just smartly written. It's hilarious. The cast all have great chemistry. Billy Lord, supporting role in this, and she steals every scene she's in. But all of the cast in here is really great. There's some pretty good twists, and it is pretty much like Superbad. It's not exactly like it, but it is a lot like it, and I was really, really impressed with the way things went with this movie and everything. It just was a very, very well-written movie. Olivia Wilde wrote and directed this movie, and I can't wait to see what she does next. I know she's working on something else now, and I think she's one that I'd be very interested in seeing what she does next. But I thought Booksmart was a really great movie and everything. So it's number 4, and number 3 is Pokemon Detective Pikachu. This one was one that I wanted to see it from the time I saw the trailers and stuff. I was like, it looks like it's going to be pretty funny and stuff, but I was kind of skeptical because I'm not a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. But I ended up seeing this movie, and it just was absolutely a blast. It kind of made me remember why I loved Pokemon as a kid and everything. It's kind of got me back where I want to watch Pokemon again and everything. I've checked out some of the other newer movies from recent years just because of that and everything. I really, really enjoyed Pokemon Detective Pikachu. The cast was great, especially Justice Smith. He was really good, and the special effects to bring the Pokemon to life were great. I loved how they all still pretty much look the same as they did in the cartoon and everything. It kind of reminded me of the way they did with Yogi Bear and movies like ScoobyDoo and Garfield and stuff. Like they kind of kept their looks and stuff and everything. I really liked that and everything. Mewtwo was really awesome and everything, and I felt like I was 8 years old again when I went to see that movie. In fact, I went to see Pokemon the first movie back in '99 at the same theater that I went to see Detective Pikachu, and coincidentally it was even in the same room and everything. So it was really, really nostalgic and stuff going to see that movie. But I absolutely loved Pokemon Detective Pikachu. So it's number 3, and number 2 is Dumbo. I was not like highly anticipating the live action Disney remakes of this year. Aladdin I was somewhat excited for because I'm a big fan of Will Smith and everything, but that one I was kind of skeptical on, and I did actually enjoy that one a lot more than I expected, but not enough to put it on this list. I thought it was a good enough movie though, don't get me wrong. And Lion King didn't disappoint me, but I didn't really like it either. I wasn't really extremely excited for it anyway, because I had known a lot of things that were going to happen in the movie somewhat, and plus the movie is a shot-for-shot remake anyway, and just done a lot worse than the original. It has no emotions and stuff, but I'm getting carried away. I don't need to keep talking about Lion King. Dumbo really surprised me, though. This was one that I was not really excited to see and everything. I was going to give it a chance because I'm a huge Tim Burton fan and everything. I love most of his movies. However, I was disappointed with his Alice in Wonderland, so that him doing Dumbo didn't really excite me very well and everything, but I actually really loved what he did with it. I love how, like, the first hour of the movie is pretty much the remake of Dumbo, and then the rest of the movie is fully original and stuff. I really love that about it, and the cast in here is all great. Colin Farrell, Danny DeVito, Michael Keaton, they're all really great, and it's awesome that Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito are reuniting with Tim Burton after Batman Returns, and also Eva Green was really good in this movie, although I kind of do wish she would have had a bigger role in it. But besides that, Dumbo was just a really, really good movie, and it surprised me a lot. I never expected to like it near as much as I did and everything, so it's number 2. And my number 1 movie that surprised me the most out of all the movies I've seen in 2019 is The Peanut Butter Falcon. This is another one that I had kind of heard people mention in some of the Facebook groups that I'm in and stuff, like mention that it was a really good movie and stuff like that, but I didn't watch any trailers for it. And the day that I went to see it, Chapter 2, I decided I was going to see another movie. I didn't know what I was going to see yet and everything. I almost didn't go and everything, and then I saw Peanut Butter Falcon was playing, and I made it just in time to see that one, and it's easily one of the best movies of the year, and I'd even go as far to say it's one of the best movies of the decade. It's just, the Peanut Butter Falcon is just an amazing, amazing movie, and if you haven't seen it, I would highly, highly recommend seeing it. It's a really, really good movie. It's heartwarming. It's just a real pleasure and everything. Every time I watch that movie, it can't help but it makes you smile and cheer, and it's just a really, really good movie. So I highly would recommend it if you haven't seen it. But anyway, that's my top 10 movies that surprised me this year. Feel free to let me know in the comments what movies surprised you and everything. I'll be doing my top 10 movies that disappointed me at some point. And there were going to be movies that I don't hate, but and some of them might make my worst of the year list too. But I'll talk more about those when I do that list. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.
This is the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend.
That's enough, guys.
Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever just because this is the song that doesn't end.
How do I turn you off?